Good morning. Like super dark. Sorry about that. I am literally sitting in the dark, so apologies. So, see if Ruben's around. Okay, so I think it's just us because Graham's actually on public holiday. So our quiet week continues. I copied over the announcements into today's agenda, so to have a look through. The one I particularly want to just mention on is 1C. So do recommend like all of you making some time to go through this. This is kind of one of Sid's OKRs, is to get 1,000 people certified on this. It then has cascaded down through the department. So it does also feed into infra OKRs as well. But I would recommend it. I went through it last week. It took me around 2 hours, but I have to admit I did a heap of context switching. So I saw Meg saying it took him 20 minutes. So it's somewhere between those two. And it's very much around our credit values. So you will know a lot of it already. But what I did really like about it was it has some really good context about the whys of the credit values. And some of the bits that in particular, the ones around kind of like iterations and sort of planning work and things like that, super relevant to all the conversations we're going through right now. There was a lot of stuff about like optimizing for like quantity of decisions made and things like that. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, like we can certainly, I think, apply that as we go through a lot of the self-serve decision making. So really recommend making a bit of time and actually going through that. Like it was pretty lightweight and very useful. Awesome. So one thing I had on the discussion items is I have been writing things in the self-serve blueprint. I am not pulling this from any great vault of self-serve knowledge. I am literally just emptying my brain in there. So feel free to join in. Like there is no wrong answer. There is lots of discussion still to be had and lots of holes to poke in that stuff. And we'll figure this stuff out together. But one bit I did drop in, and I'm curious, like, I guess this is a little sort of standalone enough piece that we could perhaps discuss usefully here, is we've talked a lot over the past few years about the right metrics to have as release managers to sort of indicate how things are going. We've got MTTP, but, we know on its own that's not enough of a metric to really help us optimize on our pipelines and things like that. And I was thinking that for the stage groups, it will be a good thing for us to, in addition to giving them a deployment pipeline, also help them have a set of metrics that they can use. Like the benefits of self-serve deployments is the teams have ownership of changes going out. So giving them metrics that they can then use to be able to optimize those changes going out feels like a useful thing to have in addition. Now, I did a bit of thinking about this, and DORA metrics seem to be the answer to this, right? So they give the kind of complete view of your kind of team in terms of deployment frequency and lead time, change failure rate, all of those things, which actually, if you were a single team pushing out on an independent pipeline, you actually have complete control of. Like they're not totally helpful for us as release managers because we can't optimize on some of these. But I wondered what your thoughts were. Like, does that make sense? Or like, would you other maybe like additional, or is there a better way that we could actually kind of, I guess, guide teams? So like I'm thinking we would go to them and sort of give them here's what you need to think about with deployments, like small batch sizes are good, these things are good, here's a deployment pipeline that will meet your needs, and here are some metrics or a dashboard or something where you can actually see the trends of how your deployments are working out with some ideas for optimization.
I don't think this is a DORA metric, but I do find it useful as a release manager. So in the delivery dashboard, in Grafana, we have some charts showing how many changes have not been deployed to each environment. So that's useful.
Yes.
I have a question. What is DORA? Like what?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
So DORA stands for, I have no idea. I got to Google it. Who knows? Who knows off the top of the head? It's like quick exam question.
The DevOps Research and Assessment Group.
There we go. There we go. Building passes. This is going to be my new interview question. Number
right.
one, first question. What does DORA stand for? Yeah. So they are. They came about from the book Accelerate, which is a super book, and it is all around kind of, I guess, like measuring and improving team health. So it's not specifically about deployments, but it's about overall team health. And what they found was that there are various stages in teams' lives around kind of deployment frequency and how painful those deployments were, and kind of how much like reactive work went on following a deployment that actually was really like closely correlated to overall team happiness and sort of ability to deliver. So they came up with these 4 metrics, which are called the DORA metric. Well, I don't know if they're always called DORA metric. In GitLab, we call them the DORA 4 metrics. And together they give you an overall view of how things are going. So we use some of them. So we have lead time, which is one of our release manager metrics, is a DORA metric, and deployment frequency is a DORA metric. But as well as kind of like measuring the like how fast are you going and how much stuff are you pushing out, there's the counterbalance of and how many things broke and how much reactive work did you have to do following pushing all that stuff out. So those are kind of the bits that go on the kind of the counter side.
I think having DORA metrics would be really valuable, actually, even as just sort of a well-established standard or norm of things that are generally useful to track. I think from both sides, for also stage groups and teams, and for us as well. The one that I don't know if it would be particularly helpful, maybe not at least for our context, is MTTR. It might help in terms of how we do rollbacks and how all that is coordinated. But the MTTR metric as a whole there's like a lot more that goes into what that metric might report beyond how quickly can what delivery provides teams facilitate those rollbacks and those recoveries. That's the only one that I don't know whether it would be immediately useful. I mean, maybe it might be, but things like deployment frequency and fail rate of changes, that kind of stuff, I think would be helpful. Might help to springboard some conversations as well.
That's kind of what I was kind of thinking along those lines as well. Yeah, like it's almost like giving people enough indication that it leads to conversations, right? Like I kind of think that a lot of the benefits for giving teams, I mean, essentially we're giving them more work, right? We're giving them do your own deployments and take that on. But the benefit for them is the opportunity to kind of optimize their workflows and the code they're checking in and stuff. So yeah, they probably wouldn't be able to affect MTTR, you're right. Almost a good one for us though, I guess, right? Because the sort of the ultimate improvement to that will be us being able to detect a problem more quickly and have a faster rollback pipeline, I guess, and maybe the two things. So maybe they're good for us, but actually less for the team. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Super helpful. Yeah, go ahead.
Where is MTTR counted? Like, is it from the start of the problem, or is it from the start of the deployment of the fix, or from the start of rollback?
It's a really good question. I actually don't know. And I certainly don't know in terms of the DORA 4 metrics that we have built into the product. I don't know that I've seen that configured well for any of our projects.
I've seen it defined in. Sorry, Ruben, go on.
No, I was just going to say, I don't think we are measuring MTTR, are we? I don't think so.
I don't think so. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I was going to say I've seen it defined in different ways, but I think in terms of DORA metrics, it's from the time when the customer impact starts to when it ends. So that's like, it focuses purely around like customer impacts in terms of time to recover, rather than us detecting a problem. It's like if the customer impact started an hour before we detected the problem, then we've already, an hour of that recovery time has already elapsed. At least in terms of what I think of what the DORA metrics do. I could be totally wrong, speaking of like top of my head.
I guess that makes sense from a deployment point of view, right? Because that's actually a number we do kind of know. Like if you're in a deployment pipeline and we detect a problem, it should be possible to count from the beginning of the time you started deploying to that stage. So I guess that makes a bit of sense. Cool. Okay. So that feels like it'll be a useful direction for us to kind of explore. So at the moment, I'm not sure about this. I'm going to have to open an issue because I think we're actually going to have to investigate this a bit. At the moment, I don't think stage groups can pull useful DORA metrics on their projects because of the way we have deployments set up and the monolithicness. I'm going to dig into that a little bit more, but when I've had a quick look, I'd never trust the numbers, especially. And I know we don't get some of the numbers. I know things like their change failure rates and stuff don't track in there because deployments are completely disconnected from the actual projects. So there's some pieces in there, but it does feel like it could be a good one for us to kind of figure out from our side. Like we might need to change the way we track things, or there could be some work. I wonder if some of this might tie into the issues Graham raised about the way we have environments configured right now. I suspect our production canary and our production environment are both counting as production deployments, just from a quick scan of some of the numbers. So I'll dig in and see if I can actually work out if that's true or not. But it might be that we have a little bit of setup work on our side, and then we could encourage the stage groups to get this included in their deployments. Cool. So on Monday, Scarbeck gave us a bit of talk through on the release manager stuff, but is there any other stuff you want to call out on that, Ruben, on kind of how release management's going at the moment?
Should I go through the whole
dashboard? If it's useful, like if you think there's going to be, or if you'd like to.
We had a lot of blocks today. Maybe I'll just show that one dashboard.
Yeah, go for that one. Yeah, find some light.
So last week, I think the week before that was pretty good. We had hardly anything blocking deployments, but this week it's just Wednesday and we've already had 4. So yeah, not so good. Other than that, let's see this one. This is pretty standard. I think on August 3rd, we managed 7. Otherwise, it's around 6. There was something weird in the lead time dashboard that I remember seeing. Oh yeah, I don't know what happened here. did we have less MRs being merged this week or something? I'm not sure.
It's surprising, right? I guess it's possible, right? I mean, I suppose we see from our team that we've got a lot of people out, so maybe it's possible, but it is a little surprising.
Yeah, and then it happened again, I guess. So it happened on the August 1st weekend, and then August 8th again. Though August 8th, we see a slight rise at least.
Yeah, it's very surprising.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I mean, yeah, maybe it literally is just down to vacation, I guess.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, that's it. If anyone has any questions, let me know.
Oh, I don't think I have any. I know we've got a couple of sort of like tooling and general bug things that will improve release management on the board. So yeah, I think we're actually I want to just call out like Ruben, like great work recently. Like I think of all the months I've seen go by, like I'm loving the amount of kind of tooling improvements you're bringing in alongside kind of release management. Like that's a super way to kind of spend your time in these months.
Yeah, as a release manager, it's difficult to forget all these things. So.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, this problem still exists. Exactly. Nice. Is there anything else anyone wants to bring up on the recording? Nope. Okay.